Hey, this is Christian Duke from StrengthAddicts.com. We're here at the 2014 Arnold Classic with NPC competitor Joe Thomas. Joe, I know a lot of people know you, so I'm not going to insult you by asking you, where are you from and how many chicken breasts you eat a day. But I do want to know how you got started in the sport of bodybuilding, what year, and what inspired you really. I mean, what got you in the gym, and then what got you on stage?
Well, when I obviously probably like what most bodybuilders today can say is watching the Arnold Classic movie, or Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and watching Lou Ferrigno be the Incredible Hulk, things like that is what inspired me to one day wanting to look like that, one day wanting to be strong. So I did so many sports. I played sports my entire life, all the way from baseball, football, wrestled for 11 years, MMA, powerlifting, and then finally bodybuilding. And in 2004 is when I started actually training for bodybuilding. Before that, all my training was, football training, things like that.
Okay.
And, a buddy of mine said, "Hey, you got good shape. You should try to do a bodybuilding contest." And okay, I gave it a shot. And my very first show, I entered a national qualifier and placed second place. And I kind of, as we say in the industry, you got bit by the bug.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, take us to 2010, and that's a big jump, but in 2010 you had some pretty intense back surgery, and I've heard that up until that point you didn't actually, you didn't do squats, you didn't do a lot of deadlifting, so how were you able to put on that level of musculature in your legs without doing those core movements, and how did your training change after 2010?
Well, the biggest thing was when I started in 2004 competing, my back was a problem, but it wasn't a terrible problem. As I went on and on and on, it got worse and worse and worse. The disc was just wearing down to nothing. Eventually in 2008, I had about 7 overalls in the NPC that I'd won at that point with my back like that. So after that, I knew I couldn't keep going any further than that because my back was too bad. So I had to get surgery in 2010. I had spinal fusion. But the thing is, I had a special procedure that was only available in the United States for about 1.5 years at the time, possibly 2 years, and it allowed me to fix my back and return to the gym in 3 weeks to rehab myself.
Wow, that's pretty insane.
Actually, I'll show it to you. If you can see this little line right here.
Hold it there for a second. Yeah.
That's where they went in and replaced my disc in this vertebra. Right through this little tiny hole right there. It was a special procedure. Instead of having my whole back sliced open,
Right.
They went in through this little hole.
And you said that procedure is only available in the United States, so it's got to be pretty.
At the time, it wasn't available in the United States.
Oh, it wasn't.
It was just available for about 1.5 years in the United States.
Oh, I got you.
Right. It was happening in other countries at that time.
Okay. Now, also, a lot of people, when I said on the onset of the interview that a lot of people know who you are, a lot of people know who you are through bodybuilding, but also through fitness modeling. Yeah. So talk to us about Hot Bods, and talk to us about, I know you've done a lot of romance novel covers, which is like something really pretty unique in your resume. What's that aspect of your career like?
Actually, I'll go back and finish your last question.
Okay, sure.
I forgot to answer something.
Okay.
You talked about my legs.
Oh, yeah.
I always had big legs, so luckily, genetically, I've had big legs since I've been a kid. So even though my back was hurt, I still found ways to train around that injury. What I did was leg presses, hack squats. I could do them in a certain way without hurting my back. Leg extension, leg curls, things like that is what kept my legs big. And I was able to keep them, nice and full. Until I had surgery in 2010, I was competing 210 tops. And now I'm competing. This year, I'm really probably looking at about 235 contest weight on stage. And because by getting my back fixed, I was able to train properly now. I can do squats, I can do deadlifts, I can do things like that that I couldn't do before that add the mass.
Okay.
So I always had the width. I just didn't have the thickness because I couldn't do things that made you thick, like squats and deadlifts and bent over rows and things like that.
Okay, and so. Well, that's good to know. I mean, because a lot of people think you can only build legs by doing squats, and I mean, you've at least put the width in there, which is really cool.
Exactly.
And you said hack squats also probably for the outer sweep, which is good.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about the fitness industry, though.
Fitness modeling, not not too many big guys. I'm a super heavyweight bodybuilder, so there's not too many big guys that can pull off the fitness model look. Luckily for me, I'm able to pull off the fitness model look, and I've been pretty successful in the fitness modeling as so far. And you mentioned Hot Bods Clothing. That's one of my sponsors. Hot Bods Clothing is actually a clothing company that's designed specifically for athletes. It's any bodybuilder knows if you go buy a dress shirt, and it fits in your chest and your arms and your shoulders, it's going to be this wide on your waist. Hot Bods Clothing is pre-tailored. So instead of buying a dress shirt and going to get it tailored, you buy Hot Bods Clothing, you buy a dress shirt, and it's already tailored. It's taken in, it fits like the way an athlete or a bodybuilder, or whatever you want to say, it's pre-tailor made to fit you as a bodybuilder.
Awesome.
Or an athlete, a football player.
Okay, and earlier you talked about, competing at that high level at the NPC. You're actually a top 3 ranked national competitor. What's that like? I mean, I don't even know how to phrase a question. What's it like being at that very, very top, so close to getting that pro card?
Well, I spent a lot of years trying to get to that top. I spent a lot of years just saying every national show that I went to was, I'm trying to hit that top 5. I want to get that top 5. And finally, here I am. I just recently placed 3rd at the North American. And so it feels great to be able to hit that goal and place in the top 3 in the national level. But it's so minute, the differences between the guys. A lot of people, unless you're a judge, you look at the first, second, third place guy, and you're like, what's the difference between these guys? So it's just a matter of nailing it at the last minute. Getting your water right. It's a little tiny, minute things that you got to do that can set you apart at that last minute. And that's about it. So that's what I kind of worry about those things at the last minute.
Yeah, it's kind of funny from a journalist perspective. When you're top 5 or top 3, we generally like to say, oh, he was like 1% away or 5%.
Yeah.
How do you tell somebody, if you go and talk to a judge and you want an opinion after the show, how do you implement 1% change? I mean, it's impossible.
Yeah, it's what it is you just got to get the judge's feedback, and you can say, like, for instance, what could I have done to go from 3rd or 2nd to 1st or from 3rd to 2nd or whatever, and the judge might tell you everything looked great, but you just should have been a little bit tighter in the glutes, or your hamstrings were a little watery or something like that. It's just something small and minute like that. At that level, it's usually about water manipulation, because most guys at that level, they do the dieting. They know what they're doing when it comes to dieting, and they're going to do the work that it takes to get to that level. It's really about messing something up in the last minute with water or something like that.
Right. Now, also talk to us about, and I hate to keep saying talk to us about, we're kind of like on a crunch here because you got a lot of fans waiting for you back at the booth. But speaking about the booth, how did you come to work the Arnold for Species? And, what should companies know about you?
Well, I've been a endorsed sponsored athlete since 2005. A lot of people probably recognize me from magazine ads from way back, for the last 8 years. The thing is, I recently was with another company, and I'm no longer with them. I'm kind of a free agent now. I'm not with the company. But I spoke with the marketing director of Species, and we're friends, Lou Yardell, and we kind of made an agreement that we would, I would kind of do a guest appearance at Species booth. So that's what I'm doing here at the Arnold Classic. I'm making a guest appearance at the Species booth, and doing the same things that I would do in other booths. I would, talk to people, talk about the product, take pictures, talk to fans.
Okay, cool. The very last thing I want to talk to you about, I know that originally I asked you off camera, I said, are you going to be doing super heavyweight this year? And you caught my eye, you caught my attention, I guess, by saying you don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because last year I made heavyweight, and I ended up on stage. By the time prejudging came around, I was probably 229, maybe 230 in the heavyweight division. And I put on more size since then. I'm sitting at about 264 or 265 right now.
Right.
And I'm pretty lean.
You are, yeah, you're definitely lean.
I try to stay lean in the off season. There's no reason to gain a bunch of fat and then have to lose it. You know, the gaining all that fat is not going to help me gain muscle. Now, of course, I know that some fat gain is inevitable. It's going to happen, and I don't mind that because I know I got to have it. But the thing is there's no sense in gaining extra fat that's useless. So I stay pretty lean. So that being said, if I'm 264, 265, at pretty lean now, I don't see how I'm going to get down to 225. I don't know. if I do,
right.
I mean, cool, I'll slide into the heavyweight and
right.
probably end up on stage at 230 again. But the thing is, I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
No. I think like you said, you don't have a choice,
Right,
and
right.
why would you want to sacrifice all those good muscle gains? There's no sense.
Or end up risking going flat or whatever.
Absolutely.
So in the super heavyweight division, I know that I'll be one of the smaller guys. I'm guessing probably maybe on stage at 235 to 230.
With striated glutes.
Well, that's the goal. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, my conditioning is usually on point. You know, my conditioning is usually not a factor, but I should be about 235, 236, somewhere around that range, and I know I'll be one of the lighter guys, but I'm 5'9" and a half.
Right.
So that could possibly help me not look as small compared to some of these.
Well, you have a narrow waist too, so it's all part of the illusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's all part of the illusion. So
that's what I'm counting. I'm counting on shape and maybe my height to help me look
absolutely
to match these guys that I'm going with.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, thank you very much for talking to us. If you could send us off with some shots here, kind of let your competitors, your adversaries know what to expect. That Joe Thomas is coming to town, and I think this is your year to go pro, right?
That's the plan.
This is the year.
Like I said, I'm an all-season fat guy, but
Joe Thomas. This is off season, you said?
Correct.
If you're going to compete against this guy, you better do your homework. It's Christian Duke, Joe Thomas, 2014 Arnold Classic.